Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Turnbuckle Trash Talk. This is the premiere, the official premiere of our new show. I am Kent, your officiant. Joining me today is the Latin liaison, Isaiah, the heavy hitter, David King, and the captain, Aaron Nova. So why don't we kick things off by just talking about our years in general. I'm going to pass things over to David King. How was your 2018?
Well, 2018 is actually my first year. I graduated from the Lethal Academy. Jay Lethal. Shout out to you. I love you.
He heard you.
He did.
We did. And that's how he says my name. Yeah, it's crazy. Just wrestling in general has been great. I've had a lot of missteps, a lot of highs and lows, but I think that's all a part of the learning process, and I'm proud of it.
And what promotions were you able to work with this year in 2018?
Real Pro, Platinum, Tibet Pro, ACW, DWI. I'm probably missing a few other ones because, I get out there because I'm special.
Oh
I'm a great talent.
Making towns. Making towns, brother.
I am the heavy hitter.
Oh, man, brother.
I am the draw. Seriously.
Out of all that, what do you think is your crowning moment of the year? Your shining moment? Best match.
I'm always hard on myself, but I would say my last match, ACW, was pretty good.
Who did you wrestle?
Jason Falcone.
Where can we check that out at?
On ACW Florida on YouTube.
So what are you looking forward to in 2019? We got a whole new year coming, a whole new beginning. What are you looking for?
Just improving, doing more shows, improving my craft, being the better heavy hitter, if that's possible, because I'm pretty great right now. Yeah.
The heaviest hitter.
The heaviest.
Heavier hitter until he's the heaviest hitter.
Yeah, but just improving, doing more work on the indies.
Do you have a goal for yourself? One crowning achievement or one promotion you'd want to work for? What is your primary goal?
I'd like to work out of state more. Mainly the South, but I'd like to, work in Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, stuff like that.
How's your girl gonna feel about that?
Which one?
Which girl?
Oh! I thought I was gonna get him, but
I am a heavy hitter.
All right, let's cut over to the captain here. Captain, tell us about your 2018.
Oh, man, where to start? 2018, I think I've wrestled every single weekend. I'd like to think I wrestled majority of, about every weekend. Minimum of like twice a week. So many places, so many different opponents. Everything was a lot of fun. I would consider this my first year since, I started training 3 years ago, but I would consider this my first year of wrestling because this was like the first time I really got out and got to mix it and got myself cultured and in the locker rooms and stuff like that. Yeah. You got me booked on one spot, But it was just a lot of fun. This was the first year the captain voyaged out and, really, really got a grip on it.
You've been on the pay-per-view, right?
Yes, I actually, made my pay-per-view debut, ACW, WWN, against the Clover Clan, and then we went out later that show and interrupted the International Superstars. Cost them their match, and then we wrestled them again, which they did not beat us fair and square. They didn't beat us at all. So hoping to make it back in 2019. The captain has evolved and is looking to go further and beyond, if you know what I mean.
Now, I think one of the big impacts I saw personally in your career was your teaming with Fabu Andre on ACW. That seemed to just evolve and create this whole new chapter in your career. Tell us a little bit more about that.
First things foremost, I think this was the first year I've actually worked as the villainous character, the Captain Aranova, which, I think I'm right in every single way and everybody's a bad guy. But I ventured off to ACW. I started a feud with Fabu everywhere else, and then ACW I came. And in order to make an impact, instead of feuding, we decided to join forces, and we became the Meteoric Rise, and there's only one direction we're going, and that's all the way to the top.
Great name, by the way.
He's meteoric. Isn't that like meteor? It's like mediocre. Mediocre. Did you say mediocre?
Meteoric.
Oh,
like a
that's
meteor.
a tough word.
Not mediocre.
Got a nice grade
That's
education.
insulting
What do you want,
to me and
man?
Fabu, and you're lucky Fabu's in the cocoon right now.
Just cutting down a peg.
God.
So what's your biggest goal for 2019? What is the thing that you want
2019, what I will achieve, I will collect more gold. It's all about the champion. And if you're not in it to be champion, what are you in it for? So I'm looking to break barriers. I don't want to be a cruiserweight. I want to break every weight class. I want to be the best. I want to outwork everybody. So I'm going for every top crown in every promotion.
Fantastic. Latin liaison, Isaiah.
Oh,
Tell us
mine.
about your 2018.
It's super short, man. 2018. I trained and did wrestling with the guys. I didn't. I don't want to say I finished, but I think I got enough to where I guess
You can open
I
up
can
your
say
own wrestling school.
if it's wrestling with a diet, maybe that's the only thing.
Wrestling with diet.
Yeah, that's it.
Clever.
That's all I can wrestle.
You trained him.
But I mean, needless to say, for me, it was an accomplishment because being a fan, since I was a kid, and just being in a ring, it was fantastic for me. I had my, I guess you would say, my drawbacks. The groin tear or whatever it was. I still don't know till this day.
Yes.
It set me back a
groin.
lot. I never. It's a big. It's yeah. It took some time, off of my training, and I fell behind and stuff. But I'm happy, man. I can say that I did train with some guys who were hella talented. So I'm glad to be in this.
Some who don't
sell. So it was fantastic. What I would say was my highlight was wrestling the match. I don't give a shit what no one says. I wrestled one damn match, and that's two.
Three matches.
Wow. I think I was in all those matches.
The battle
It's
was
crazy.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
2 8-man tags.
Yeah.
But I say like the one that I think was a highlight was the 8-man tag.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was us, and then we worked. It was Hollywood, Troy Hollywood, Danny Vincent, Dax the Action, Chris Polk.
I almost died. Yeah.
You almost died, but you're here, man.
Yeah.
But you're here.
It's amazing.
So that's it, man. It was fantastic. And I'm glad to just be part of all of it, man. That's it.
That's
Now.
fantastic.
Aren't you doing commissary and stuff though?
Let's talk about the year for the guy, the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, Tower of Power, Ken, the officiant.
2018 was something I could never have imagined.
Woo!
Honestly, this was a bucket list. This was a dream. It was just something that I never thought would come to fruition. When I signed up for wrestling school at the Lethal Academy, as you mentioned, it was just kind of trying something, actually taking a leap, jumping in, trying something I had never done before, and seeing where it would take me. I had originally, I had never had aspirations of being a wrestler because, I knew my limitations and I knew my discipline as far as dieting and exercising and how much it requires, but I knew with a passion I wanted to be involved somehow. And so it just seemed like a natural fit when reffing and managing came along. And that I just found my love in it, and I pursued it. And honestly, if I'd have told myself a year ago today, you're going to ref 253 matches this year, you're going to work with the likes of Billy Gunn and Gangrel, guys who've watched on TV, and you're going to meet so many cool people and renew your passion for a sport that's always been in your life, I'd been flabbergasted. So to be here today, to have done what I've done so far, it's still like a dream I never want to wake up from. And so for 2019, all I really want to do is continue to ride this wave. I want to work on this show. I want to be out there making towns, brother.
Yeah.
And whatever comes my way is just another thing I never thought would have happened. So honestly, it's all gravy for me. My aspirations are just to continue to grow, maybe to have 353 matches next year, to work any promotion that'll have me. I'm always striving to get better, just like you guys have said.
The Iron Ref.
But it was a great year, needless to say.
2019.
Speaking of 2019, yes. Speaking of great years, let's talk about some of the great years in WWE. The people who've had a great year in WWE. The people who've had, an exceptional performance, whether they had great matches, whether they had great, championship reigns, everything like that. So what I want to start off with is Raw. Who had a great year on Raw? We actually talked about this a bit in advance before we started filming, and we came up with a few names that popped out to us. To everyone out there watching at home, we limited ourselves to 3 people per brand. I know people are going to argue with this. I know people are going to say, hey, so-and-so had a great year too. And we believe you. This was a very difficult conversation. It took us almost 2 years to come up with a list of 2 hours. Sorry, 2 hours.
Say, wait a minute. Yeah, 2
Sorry. It took us almost 2 hours.
So 2 years later, we will get to 2018.
It took us almost 2 hours to come with a list of 3
2020,
names.
man.
But we broke down the brands. We went to New Japan.
We did
We
it.
went to Ring of Honor. We went to the Indies as a whole. We broke it down, and these are the 3 names that stuck out to us. So we're going to go by them one by one and kind of throw in our thoughts on each individual person. And then we're going to talk about who to watch in 2019. So let's start off with Raw. The names that we came up with were Seth Rollins, Elias, and Ronda Rousey. So let's start with Seth. What was so great about Seth's 2018?
For one, he wrestled for an hour, over an hour on Raw.
And it was a great match.
Amazing.
He barn burners, like every pay-per-view, every Raw, he's been having barn burners with everybody. Like really standout matches with like Finn Balor, Miz, Roman, Drew McIntyre. Done it in style, man. I think my favorite. I don't even think I have a favorite. There's so many.
They're all
good
good,
ones.
man. Yeah.
I think a guy like that, or a guy to be like to have the best year, you need to be a workhorse. And that's what he's been doing.
Yeah.
He's been just match to match, just putting on the show.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like Seth Rollins has had to carry the weight of Raw on his back.
I agree.
Yeah.
There are a lot who would say that this is one of the worst years of Raw in history. And I think
been
that
tough.
he has had to carry it. And he's been the hottest babyface consistently through the entire year.
Mhm.
He had has had an impressive Intercontinental Championship run,
Mhm.
even though it just recently ended and there was a little hiccup with Dolph Ziggler in the middle there.
Yeah.
He's been a good Intercontinental Champion, which, to be honest, was the main title on Raw
Yeah,
for
it
the
was.
majority of the year.
It's known as the workhorse title, and he was the workhorse.
Yeah. So I think
Definitely number
things
one.
are only going to get better in 2019. I
Mhm.
think we're going to see him have a Universal title reign,
Mhm.
possibly starting at WrestleMania. And I think that he has earned his spot, kept his spot, and is the primary star of Raw.
I agree.
Yeah.
So let's turn it over to Elias. Elias, maybe not in resume terms
Yeah.
as far as championships or anything. Why do we think he had a great 2018?
He came from NXT. He was never the NXT champion. Didn't win any gold in NXT.
He didn't really beat
But
anybody.
He wasn't really a factor on it in the NXT.
And he wasn't even really in NXT for long. So he comes up, he gets called up, and what surprises me and I'm impressed more of is that he stays relevant.
Yes, I can see the same
Most
thing.
entertaining.
Oh my
Yes.
God, hands down! Like
Most entertaining.
I don't mind watching him. Like I'll watch him, and if I see like he could be in the backstage with the guitar, and like he would just capture me, and I'm like, what's this idiot gonna do again? You
I
know?
agree.
I think one of the things that makes Elias one of the best of 2018 is he really defined what it means to have a character on the show.
Yes. Yep.
You know, a lot of wrestling in general these days has put character on the back burner.
Mm.
And I think having character is very, very important. And I think he is somebody who has a well-defined character. Some could say he was the hottest heel
Yeah.
on Raw for the majority
Yeah.
of 2018.
Yeah.
He had a seamless turn to babyface.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he's still going out there and killing it whenever he's given the opportunity.
Yeah.
Now, maybe that doesn't translate in wrestling, but I think character work, it's just as important.
It is, man.
And it's one of the only highlights on Raw week to week.
I feel like remember back in the days, like even Kurt Angle, man. Kurt Angle was a fantastic wrestler, but I feel for me until he turned into like the goofy Kurt Angle is not where he became like, oh wow, you gotta watch him. Chad Gable, Jason Jordan. These guys are like kind of their characters are like, you know, you're just man, don't care much for, but they're great workers.
It's a big like the Undertaker interview where it really expressed like the importance of character, and that's a prime example right there with guys like Elias, and then you compare it to like great workers, but then there's great superstars. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
And I will say he's a sneaky good worker. Like he's talented.
He is. I don't think he's, and you know, a lot of people would say his NXT run was a flop. They don't understand why he was called up. I think we're starting to understand. I think
Yeah.
and if
NXT
you notice,
surprisingly wasn't the right brand for him.
Yeah.
He
I agree.
needed to be a main stage player with this, you know, Bruce Springsteen-esque character. Being on the small stage wasn't the right situation.
And he has a great look. He looks great.
Yeah, it looks just like Seth Rollins. I'm gonna go ahead and. What was that?
I didn't notice that.
That's
Both of us listening, they both look the same.
They really do. I hate you.
Yeah, we all kind of look alike. It's crazy.
So finally on Raw, let's talk about Ronda Rousey. What gave Ronda Rousey such a great 2018?
Come on, let's face it. The
Self-explanatory,
draw.
man. That's
The
it.
draw.
I will say she came out the gate pretty capable as a wrestler, which
did.
really surprised me.
Me too.
I mean, I think they managed her well, put her in matches with people who could,
Triple H.
make her come along better. But I don't know how long she was training for, but she came out the gate pretty.
You would have thought she'd been wrestling for a long time.
They produced a star with her. She was already a star herself. She had the legitimacy. She developed a reputation. And then from how it ended over there and how she 180 transitioned into here, everything worked out in her favor.
And it's crazy to say because even like a lot of times you'll see wrestlers who are great and their mic work is terrible. Her mic work is but I don't care because she's really good and
she's
in
good.
the ring, man.
She hasn't produced anything bad.
Her transition from the world of MMA to wrestling was almost seamless. Now, you could say that she had time to train, that she got to work at the Performance Center, but so do a lot of these people.
Yes.
She's given a lot of flack for getting so much time in between her matches. But, I mean, working against people who've been on the indies, who've been in the E for a lot longer, and still putting on a stellar performance, that says something.
Yeah, such a short period of time to just come in and really, of course, you're positioned with main event caliber talent, but still she's a tremendous athlete. Obviously, championship caliber, and I think that's what a lot of people miss is just that athleticism, just to carry you when it's time to go. You have to be able to go.
Yeah,
and she's done it.
Well, looking ahead to 2019, I believe she will be one half, if not 1/3 or 1/4 of the first ever female main event for WrestleMania. I truly believe that. I think we might see her versus Becky Lynch. We might see
I'd love to see that.
Her versus Becky versus Charlotte, or her versus Becky versus Charlotte versus Asuka.
Okay.
But I believe
I was waiting for that. I was like, what about Asuka?
If there is going to be a main event at WrestleMania, she is going to be a part.
Hands down.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm calling it Ronda Rousey, Brock Lesnar.
I'd watch that.
Actually,
come on, let's be honest.
So that was Raw. Let's talk about SmackDown Live. The 3 people we came up with for SmackDown Live as having the best 2018, and this is going to be a debate, I can tell from some of you, but the 3 people we came up with were AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, and Becky Lynch. Let's start with AJ Styles. Why did he have a great 2018? This seems self-explanatory, but let's just go for it.
The other workhorse.
Dude,
it's match after match after match.
Seth Rollins.
The phenomenal one. Amazing.
Literally.
Honestly, he brought Brock Lesnar to a good match
at
Survivor Series last year. He had an incredible match this year. The guy held the title. SmackDown is the house AJ Styles built, and honestly, probably the best of the main roster brands right now.
That is
no question.
I remember back in the mid-2000s where to me SmackDown was better than Raw during the Aggression era.
Yeah. The era.
It was the workhorse era. Mm-hmm. And he brought me back to that feeling of, okay, this is the workhorse show. Yeah. AJ Styles is the draw. He's a workhorse. Seth was doing it too, but AJ Styles, it's like...
It was it even got to the point where they were... On live events, they were holding him off the tapings to put him on the main event of the show. So you would have to sit through SmackDown where you didn't have an AJ match, 205, and then you get the AJ Styles match. That's what happened earlier this year when we went to SmackDown. It was just like I pay to see Daniel Bryan, of course, always, but AJ Styles match was a huge reason to be there, and it was just like it was announced him and Shinsuke. So I was like, I cannot wait. And then sat through SmackDown, which was tough. SmackDown 205, which was even harder because I was just like, it's the longest day ever. And then AJ Styles music hits, Shinsuke Nakamura, barn burner. Fantastic match, and it made it all worth it. And it's just like, you get that from that guy every single time he steps in the ring.
The draw, yeah.
Yeah. Again, pretty self-explanatory. Daniel Bryan, why did he have a great 2018?
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. If everybody knows me, which, personally, I'm pretty open about it. Daniel Bryan is the guy to me.
Look at that smile.
He's the man. He's the man. And I'll just kick it off like this. He came back from a brain injury. Who does that? And then you come back and you wrestle a great match. You're in a Royal Rumble for an hour. I think even longer than that. It was like an hour.
Greatest Royal Rumble, yeah.
Hour and 20 minutes, and then right back to it. You win the belt. You have a barn burner with Brock Lesnar, and it's just like Every single time I watch this guy, he never ceases to amaze me. And people still to this day doubt him. They question it. They don't think it's that good, like with the heel turn. But
I love it.
every time he goes,
Whoa! I think this is the greatest heel turn.
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
You cannot deny him.
It only happened at the end of the year, but I think he is going to be not only the hottest act of the end of 2018, but the hottest act of a good majority.
Heel Bryan is amazing. Heel Daniel Bryan is amazing.
He always does. People doubt him, and he just shuts the naysayers right up. First attempt, like it's so effortlessly.
I think a guy whose life is wrestling to have such a never say die attitude and to make the best of whatever he's given. You know, some could say some of his feuds could have been better, some of his matches. Whatever he's given, he makes into gold. I think this is the same with most of the people on this list. Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, whatever they're given, they turn into the best product they possibly can, even if it is the worst written trash. They make it somehow watchable.
And people have to remember that he didn't wrestle for a long time, so the more he gets comfortable in the ring again, the better he's going to be.
Yeah, and then just the more aggressive style. He's always introducing a new element to when he does this, like the stomps on the head, or they're fighting the yes lock, and he's just clotheslining in the back. It's just so entertaining.
That's the LaBelle lock now. No longer the yes.
Oh, it's back to the LaBelle lock?
The yes movement is dead.
Yes, this is correct.
It's stuff he did in Ring of Honor that made him so popular, that aggressive mat-based style.
And really brought Ring of Honor, too, what a flag.
Like, people say he's inspiring because his stature, which is still inspiring, but to me what's inspiring about him is just that drive and that love of wrestling. It's infectious. Like, when I watched him, it was like, I want to wrestle even more because he loves it. He lives for it. He's just
world
champ now.
I'll take it easy. I'm sorry, guys.
No.
Who's next? I'm sorry. I'll
next
be here all
up,
day.
the man, Becky Lynch.
The man.
Becky Lynch, a lot of people could say, had kind of a bad start to 2018. She was ignored, disregarded, not given opportunities, had opportunities taken from her. Honestly, if it weren't for that, it wouldn't have made this year as great as it was for her. Because her coming out of her shell, Becky 316, if you want to call it, whatever those moments were, the bloody face from getting smashed by Nia Jax, all of this has created this perfect, almost like chemistry experiment, where it could have gone really bad or really good, and somehow it found that perfect spot that I think it could define her entire career. I think this last 4 or 5 months could define her entire career. What do you guys think?
She's somebody else that just that passion, that drive seems like it came out of nowhere. And it's really refreshing. Like, her transformation to what she is now is amazing. And
it's like what we were talking earlier. Like, the characters, you're a great worker.
Yep.
But great workers don't sell tickets that all the time. For her to finally to be fed up with getting ignored and overlooked, and now you're channeling that aggression, and now you're displaying that emotion, and now you became this personality. Now everybody's tuning in like, well, wait a minute, what is she gonna do today? And that's what it is right there. Just a culmination of all that. You have your great workers, but then you have your superstars, and she is a superstar.
Becky Lynch, she did struggle. She did struggle in the very beginning, but hands down, she worked for it, man. She worked for it. Because even then, when she was wrestling and all that good stuff, and I feel like she was just thrown under, it was just all about, Charlotte. And I love Charlotte. But at the end of the day, she finally got what she deserved, man. She really does deserve what she's getting for it right now. I mean, to punch the face, I don't know if that was a work or not, but they got me.
They got her.
Well, and I think, just like we talked about Ronda Rousey being the 1/2 or 1/3 or whatever of the WrestleMania main event, I think you gotta say that Becky Lynch is going to be the other half.
I hope so.
It's gotta be. I think that the ideal WrestleMania main event, WrestleMania 35, final match of the show, Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch.
And Brock Lesnar.
and
Brock Lesnar.
I'll make a prediction now. Becky Lynch is going to win the Women's Royal Rumble this year. That's my prediction.
She earned
putting it out there.
Wait a minute, you can't throw your Royal Rumble pick so early.
I'm going to call it now.
Okay.
I'll stick with it.
Oh, you're going to throw yours?
Calling it now.
Can I say? I'm going to say mine for the men's Royal Rumble.
Brock Lesnar is going to win the female Royal Rumble. That's what he's
You better not. You better not.
R-Truth is winning the Royal Rumble.
Oh my God!
I said it here first. I said it here first.
We'll say the Royal
True
Rumble
self
pick
set you free. That's it.
for another
All right.
episode.
I love you, but
So we've covered Raw and SmackDown. I think this was the hardest brand to discuss. NXT. I think it's the best brand on television right now.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah.
I think that it's got the most stacked roster. And I think, speaking of 2018, 2019, this was the hardest one to pick 3
I agree.
people or groups out of, because we did include a
Think
group.
about it. 1 hour. You got 1 hour. You got all these guys fighting for that spot. And that's exactly what you get to the main roster, and that sense of clarity shouldn't be there. You should still fight. Still fight to get that top spot.
NXT, Lucha Underground, these brands make me believe that we need to stop having live shows.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because of the great
No,
product
no,
they
yeah.
put
I
on.
kind of agree.
Honestly, they're given more time to work out what they
Yeah.
want to do. But anyway, our top 3 for NXT.
This is tough,
This
ladies.
is really tough.
Here we go.
Tommaso Ciampa, Undisputed Era, Shayna Baszler. This was really difficult for us. We talked about Johnny Gargano. We talked about Pete Dunne. We talked about Ricochet. We talked about so many people who had such an important part of NXT this year. But these were the final 3 we picked. Let's start off with Tommaso Ciampa.
The Heat.
Absolutely. First guy, very few guys, being a wrestler and all that, but one of the villainous characters that came in and generally made me want him to lose every time he competed. I still want him to lose the championship every time he beat it. And to me, that's like, it makes wrestling fun. It's just entertaining. Just just waiting for him, see who's going to come and be that person to knock him off the mountaintop. And we get close every time, but he somehow weases his way out, and that's just pro wrestling.
I feel like he fully embraced being what a heel actually is.
Yeah.
The Lucky music, wanting the heat, embracing the heat, and still making people hate him is amazing. Like, there's heels you're like, oh, he's cool, he's edgy, he's a heel. It's like, nah, this guy's he's a bad dude. Like, he's someone that you want to lose.
He looks like he means bad business.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to really kill somebody.
Well, this is a guy who started off at a huge disadvantage. He had his big heel turn moment at a takeover and was injured.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
had to sit out for months
Yeah.
and months and
Yeah.
months and couldn't do anything
But it
to
worked out.
help capitalize on that. And he had to start off cold. He had
Yeah.
to come back
Mhm.
with no momentum on his side
Right.
and have a surprise attack and go from there. And I think he capitalized. I think
Oh, yeah.
he really took this opportunity and bit down as hard as he could and has made us all believe him. That's the other thing, is a lot of these heels can be very cartoonish, can
Yeah.
be very hard to
Watch.
buy into. He makes us believe it. He goes beyond what we get to watch on TV. He does it on social media. He does it with things like coming out with no theme music for months.
Amazing.
He
Yeah.
does it with choosing not to be featured on WWE 2K19, the video game.
Yep.
Not as a DLC.
That's why I didn't
not
buy
as
it.
an option. He was not a playable character. People had to create him, and it was one of the most sought after creations on 2K19.
And again, being a heel, no matter what, everything that matters happens in the ring. He's been delivering in the ring too. Classic
All the
matches.
time, man.
Well, let's talk about the biggest feud, in my mind, of the year. Johnny Gargano,
Yes.
Tommaso Ciampa.
Yes.
Talk about a story. Talk about a
Yeah.
story being told. We saw the breaking down and turning of Johnny Gargano.
Yes.
Something that I don't think could have been accomplished nearly as well with anyone other than Tommaso in the
Yep.
history they
Yeah.
had.
Really
Yeah.
brought it to
Yeah.
life there.
I think that truly defines the perfect heel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, going from Tommaso, let's talk about the Undisputed Era.
Boom.
I had to include these guys as a faction. We had to include these guys as a
Yeah.
faction because
Yeah.
I don't think it comes down to one member. I think as a whole, this group could be defined as the perfect faction.
Yes.
What are your guys' thoughts on that?
They are what the Bullet Club couldn't do with replicating the NWO feel, the vibe. These guys are main event stars, and they're all in one group. Like, I love the Bullet Club; they're amazing, but these guys are showing another edge that we haven't seen from a faction in a long time.
And I feel like as far as like NXT goes, this was the first group of guys. Like, again, they're the outsiders. They were the Hall and Nash. They all come from these top promotions on the Indies or Ring of Honor and stuff like that. Really came in, and instead of being just the high profile signing and just taking the main event spot, these guys really banded together and evolved into like this villainous set of characters, this group, and each person in this group has their own personality to them, which really brings the group out to life, like with Kyle O'Reilly and the guitar, or Bobby Fish, and even now Roderick Strong. Let's look at the facts now. If it wasn't for Undisputed Era, where would Roderick Strong be? We'd still be asking that question. But really brought to life, and they all meshed well. It's lightning in the bottle with Undisputed Era.
Yeah.
From the hand gestures and
the music,
the bands, the music,
the boom,
the gear, the matching
They
gear.
all
They
look great.
really they really created something with this that people really can sink their teeth into.
One, I think, over the years, in many promotions we've seen, people try to recreate factions like the Four Horsemen. And I think that Undisputed Era was able to do it naturally.
Yeah.
I don't think they
Yeah.
needed to be built up or created or manufactured. I think because these guys have such a storied history on the independents, because they know each other so well, it was just a natural fit. It just worked.
Yeah.
I think the turning of Roderick Strong was one of the biggest moments of the year.
Amazing. Him
I think that it was
turning
so
around.
unexpected.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that it has really redefined and in some ways saved his career.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Amazing wrestler Roderick Strong
Incredible.
is.
Incredible.
But the character was missing. There was
Yeah.
that thing that connective element to get him to connect to the rest of the crowd.
character development. Come on, man.
You can be a great worker, but then there's great superstars.
And I think this made him into a superstar.
Yes.
I think it really
that,
did.
that was one of the best turns I've ever seen. I mean, we were
Yeah.
all watching that match, I believe.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what?
And I just remember him stomping on Pete Dunne's head. I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, it was aggressive. That was some aggressive shit.
It was amazing.
And it really helped. I mean, unfortunately for Bobby Fish, the injury did put him on the sidelines, but I think having Roderick Strong there to step up into that role shows that they've got each other's backs,
Yeah.
that they do work
They
together.
really kept it alive, so when he came back, it was like he never left.
And it was clear there was no resentment. There was no resentment in the
Yeah,
group.
exactly.
Bobby feels just as strongly about Roderick taking his place as would be vice versa in
Yeah.
that situation. It's clear that they are, everyone's success is a success. Everyone's failure is a failure, and they are working together constantly.
It's a great group.
Yeah. So we could talk about Undisputed Era all day,
Yep.
but let's move on to Shayna Baszler.
Shayna.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right.
I
Let me make
love
my
Shayna
opinion
Baszler.
quick. Let me get this out the way.
look. Hater.
I'm not a fan of Jada
Hater.
Baszler. I'm not
Hater.
hating. I mean, yeah, she's a great heel.
Why are you not a fan?
But do you think she had a good year?
Oh, man. All right. I guess women's champion, yeah. Yeah, I
But
guess.
from debut to now, all which happened within this year,
I tried not to watch.
Was she not in the original women's, the Mae Young's Classic?
Yeah,
the
she was.
original one?
Yeah.
yeah,
So
she was
fun.
one of the
Shows
finalists.
she's doing pretty well for herself. Huh?
Yeah.
Pretty decent. Yes, pretty good. Pretty good.
Look, Shayna, her in-ring style and her attitude is so refreshing.
There's never been anything like it.
And the women's division.
Mhm.
The last person who I remember being like this, it wasn't even in the E. Well, she was in the E for a little while. Was Awesome Kong. Just that killer mentality from a women's wrestler is amazing.
I think Shayna, as strangely as this is going to sound, really made fans ready for Ronda Rousey.
Yes.
Yes.
Because she
I
showed
agree.
that being an athlete could be a character.
Yes.
I agree.
Now, mind you, she also had some work on the indies.
Yeah.
She
Mhm.
was a little bit more prepared, so she did come in
Mhm.
ready to go.
Yeah.
But I think that she showed that you can be... She's one of the only women wrestlers in history that I'm actually afraid of.
Yeah.
That I think could legitimately walk in and kick all of our asses.
Yeah. Her
Her and Miss Jackie.
Her Awesome
Jackie.
Kong. Yeah. Jackie. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool,
like
man.
she is the, strangely to say, the quintessential monster in the women's division.
Yeah.
They've tried with Nia Jax, they've tried with Tamina, they've tried with a lot of others. Shayna is just a monster because you know she's a dangerous
Yeah.
woman.
Her dissecting body parts. Her stomping on joints.
She wears a mouth guard. That's terrifying.
Just
Does she have
Wearing-
eyebrows?
She had
Yeah.
no eyebrows.
That's
Chill.
for
She doesn't have-
No.
chill.
They disappeared. What?
Leave her alone. Her wearing down her opponent and then having her opponent come back, have her opponent fight back, it brings drama to the matches. That's
Yes.
important.
Yeah.
She's a workhorse. I don't care what
Well,
you say, Nova.
and it makes anybody who beats her makes
Legit.
it an accomplishment.
Yes.
legit, yeah.
To beat her
When
is
Kyrie-
a legitimate accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Kyrie
Someone
Sands beat her, I was
saying,
like, whoa, okay.
Like Tommaso Ciampa then, like Tommaso Ciampa of the women's division.
Basically,
But
yeah.
Tommaso's a lot more attractive.
I think on the top of the mountain
Yeah.
right now, you've got
Way
the
more.
best male heel and the best female heel
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
in
Oh, yeah.
WWE are in NXT right now. Now, mind you, Daniel Bryan is quickly taking the male role.
yes.
shit.
And Becky,
Yeah.
it's debatable whether you could even consider her a heel
Yeah.
as more of a
People love her too much.
anti-hero
Yeah,
tweener.
more,
Yeah.
refreshing.
Those two carried the roles
Yeah.
of top heel, I think, for a good portion of this year.
I'm gonna say now, she's one of my favorite female wrestlers or wrestlers period to come around in a long time.
Who's that?
Shayna.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at that.
So we talked about NXT. Again, that was a big debate. We mentioned names, like I said, Ricochet, Pete Dunne, Rhea Ripley, all people who had great years. But the competition, Velveteen Dream, the competition was very stiff, so we obviously had to break it down to 3.
Yep.
Now, let's move on to New Japan. Now, I'm not as knowledgeable about New Japan, so I'm leaving this up to the others who do know a bit more. But the 3 people we came up with as the top for New Japan were Kenny Omega, Tanahashi, and Takahashi. So, Dean, I'm going to let you start off. I can weigh in a little bit about Kenny Omega, but let's talk about Kenny Omega's 2018.
Just him climbing over that hump with Okada. The first match the year before, at Wrestle Kingdom, 6-star match, I believe it was. Great. He kind of, was lost a little bit. Then he won the U.S. Championship. And then him having the match again with Okada at Dominion. And then having the Great G1. But still not getting there quite yet. And then to finally have that best of 3 at the next Dominion. Amazing. He also had that match with Jericho, too, in between that. Just putting on great matches. Being that quasi-heel, quasi-face, weird enigma of wrestling that just... And make people want to watch. Make people watch New Japan, New Japan's big in Asia. It's huge in Asia.
Yeah.
But to have it come over here and be a special attraction, he's part of that.
I think Kenny Omega is the best bout machine. He was named number one on the PWI list this year, which a lot of people could say is debatable about PWI. But I think that he has had the culmination of a multi-year story.
Yes.
I think he has had one of the longest running stories in wrestling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because this is a guy who wasn't defined by his role in the Bullet Club. This is a guy who isn't defined by his role in the Elite. He is doing his own thing.
Yeah.
Despite all these amazing things going on around him. The Golden Lovers coming back together this year.
Mm-hmm.
Him finally winning that title, like you talked about, was the culmination of a multi-year story. And I think that this is going to be one of the greatest wrestlers that WWE is never going to have.
Yeah.
And I think that it's driving them nuts.
Because
they did, and they let it go.
He's very much an enigma, and very much just a strange, almost you can't touch him character. I feel like him going to the E. I mean, money. The money in the E is amazing, and if he wants it, that's great. You should go after it. But I think it's part of his draw that he's this special attraction that you have to go out and look for to see.
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably getting paid well in New Japan. He's probably making great money. But
and he loves working there.
Yeah.
That's his home.
Yeah.
He said so.
Just him being that special thing, that special treat that you have to go find, is what makes him important.
It's been an amazing story, like the story of Kenny Omega. You follow, leaving developmental and becoming his own person. It did take time, but becoming the first to win the G1 last year and not winning the belt, and then this year-long story that, all right, you're not going to win the big one. And then, then you face the outsiders like a Chris Jericho. You're still putting on these amazing matches, but you're still not grabbing the big one. Mm-hmm. And then to finally doing this 2 out of 3 falls match where he's another one who really broke through his matches, really brought out the story through his matches. Now it's not just a wrestling match. He's telling his life story doing this, and then to finally, when he wins, we all win. He won the belt, we all win the belt. And now to get that feeling now with this year, he's really highlighted all these accolades. Now it's just now you're tuning in again just to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
who's he gonna wrestle next? Now, really bringing the New Japan-esque aura to the States now. You're making it more international. Like, he is definitely an international flag bearer.
Well, and I think he and the Bucks and Cody, the Elite in general, were really the spearhead that brought it into more acclaim in the States.
Yeah.
They really did break that almost coastal barrier. I mean, we have seen stars from New Japan have one-offs in Ring of Honor or have tournaments in Ring of Honor, but to really come to a almost national level of recognition, I think it is because of the efforts of those guys.
The wrestling itself important.
Yeah.
He made everybody appreciate what we were watching. We weren't just watching to see what spot was next or who's going to interfere. He made the wrestling matches important by putting on these performances. Something like Bret Hart. Bret Hart in his time, you'd watch and you just, he's making the wrestling important. He's making you a fan of the wrestling, not so much of the sports entertainment and the characters and stuff like that, the colors.
But he brings that character too.
Yeah.
He does. He has that charisma, and he has that kind of almost odd persona when he was at the cleaner and stuff like that. That really has worked almost on a similar level to a Jeff Hardy.
And he brings in the ring, like his reactions to moves is the way
his movements mean
something. They're very different and. Just it makes your eyes pop.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving on, let's talk about Tanahashi. Again, I'm not as much the New Japan guy, team. David, why don't you take it off?
The ace. Okada's the ace, but Tanahashi is the original ace. Like, he is the backbone of that company.
I hate to say it, like, I was not a fan of Tanahashi because he was John Cena to me.
Yeah, that's exactly what
I really loved Okada because Okada had more personality. But this year was the first year, and I'll tell you when he wrestled Suzuki.
Oh,
yes,
heartbreaking.
Right there, like after watching that match, and like I wanted to cry because I wanted him to win so bad, and that's when I became a fan of Tanahashi.
I think you should correct that Okada. He overtook Tanahashi, which is what you should do. The old ace should. Give way to the new ace. But after a while, your new ace can't just always be on top. And for him to come back strong and then be back like he never left, that's a sign of a true worker. Like, he's
a true babyface enigma. Like,
yes.
Very few times, like, a babyface is just a guy with cool entrance music and some cool finishers and stuff like that. But no, this guy really was breaking my heart. Like, I wanted him to...
Yeah.
Losing that... Look, when he lost that belt, just really... I lost a part of myself. I lost myself.
It was so sad, man. It was sad.
I'm sure our Turnbuckle Trash Talk fans, they're wrestling fans. So they're going to know something about the G1.
They are?
You better. The G1 is an amazing tournament. It's a grueling tournament. And to win that and to put matches on through that tournament that are amazing, that says something. Like, it says something deep down about you as a wrestler. That you can hold that company up and you can go and main event Wrestle Kingdom, which is the Asian, WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It's in a 50,000 seat arena.
It's just it's honestly a spectacle. He's like a John Cena, where for so long he was just the face that ran the place, but you really appreciate it for what he's doing, and then you watch it yourself and you see why. It's like,
and when he comes out, man, these people, like, you rarely do you see, like, a lot of times they just applaud, but people go crazy.
He has the tools.
I want to have what Tanahashi has.
That's good hair.
Not just the fame and the money and the.
You want the hair?
I'm all but I want that drive and I want that passion for wrestling. Mm-hmm. I want to do what he does.
He's literally.
That's the ace.
He's the ace. He's the universe. He's
the ace.
He's the rock star, man. He's really.
Yeah.
He's on the list because of that. I mean, watch that match with Suzuki and try not to cry.
Now let's move on to Takahashi.
Yes.
Takahashi, time bomb, man.
Takahashi.
I hope he gets well because that injury I want to say that was at the USA show.
I think it was.
Dragon Lee, right?
Yeah. Before that, him and Kushida were those guys in that junior division that were
fantastic.
Just put on match after match.
Yeah.
Time Bomb's another guy who has that charisma. That tongue thing he does.
Man, dude. How to explain it is like, especially with now the growing popularity of New Japan becoming more international, you get more international stars. So, you would see like the division be flooded with the Marty Scrolls and the Will Ospreays.
ACH.
Yeah, you're getting all these foreigners now, but for him, he really grabbed it back to those roots, and he really introduced this unique style. Like, I really can't compare it or describe it to anything. His movements are it's so reckless and it's exciting to watch.
It's high flying, but not high flying the way you usually. Like, he's not doing a bunch of topes and a whole bunch of moonsaults.
Yeah,
it's just. It's like he's like a kamikaze. Sorry, not to use that term, he kind of relates, but like whatever.
Come on,
DC.
Yeah, but he's like just he's like a bomb. Like
he's an enigma. Like really explosive, entertaining style, entertaining with the cat and the dolls. And I seen the live show in Daytona Beach, and literally all this guy did was place a stuffed cat right in the middle of the ring, and everybody's losing their mind.
That's how you know it's over.
Dude,
it's over.
So again, it's character. It's about something beyond just the wrestling.
It's character, but that wrestling has to match it. And it's matching it.
His style matches the loose cannon aspect.
Yeah.
To the character, like very loose and dangerous feeling, and it's exciting to watch.
Now, some could argue that Okada should be on this list. Some could possibly argue that Jay White should be on this list, or the Young Bucks. We didn't include them. It was, again, a very difficult debate to pick just 3. But let's move on to Ring of Honor, which includes some of the guys that we did not include. The Elite, and this may seem biased coming from the 4 of us, but Jay Lethal. So let's start off with the Elite. Cody, Marty, the Young Bucks, Hangman. We're including them all in the Elite. What made their 2018 so good?
One word exactly, transcendent. Really transcended and really picked up pro wrestling and evolved it into something very intriguing to all of us. Really made it fun for all of us with everything they've done.
Yep.
I think for the first time since the NWO, they found a way to break pop culture, break through that barrier. Because, although I believe wrestling is a little more mainstream acceptable now, I still think there's this kind of like, oh, that's just wrestling.
Yeah.
There's still that kind of mindset, even though it is a lot bigger than it used to be, even though it is a lot more, again, accessible and mainstream. I think you can go out and see people wearing Bullet Club shirts and ask them what it's for, and they're just like, I don't know, I just thought it was cool.
Yeah.
I've done it before,
And another thing they did was they showed being an indie wrestler isn't the worst thing in the world. That being in the WWE isn't the only way to go.
When the Young Bucks got that contract with Hot Topics for T-shirts, that was like a big deal, man.
It was. And
huge.
with the inclusion of All In, the first biggest indie event, some could say.
Indie pay-per-view.
Yeah. For having a show that didn't have any storylines. They
did. They made their own stories.
No, what I mean is like it didn't have a storyline on an actual show.
Oh yeah.
It was all off their own YouTube channel.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
They built their own universe and they really sold it out. Really created this cult following in pro wrestling, and it's just it's so rare in itself.
They made a universe within a universe.
Exactly.
That's crazy for wrestling.
Like the Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Produced like their own. Exactly. They produced their own thing and funded it themselves, and it was a success.
Well, and with Cody having an impressive ROH title reign, with the Bucks having countless tag team titles, with Cody winning that NWA title and bringing some prestige to the NWA, who are working their way up.
Yes.
I think it showed that they're looking out for the business as a whole. Yeah. They're looking out for the independents as a whole, and not just thinking, what accolades can we claim on ourselves?
Just to highlight Cody, I know his rise has been over a couple years, but for a guy to bet on himself and capitalize and become something more than I thought he'd ever be is dope.
That's like the Kenny Omega. Like, they're all similar in a sense where they follow their own line. They're walking their own path, and they're really making it into something. It's really inspiring to wrestlers and a lot of people. Like, where you can't always sit there and wait and be told what to do.
Yep.
Now, 2019 is going to be a very interesting year from them. There's a lot of rumors going around. Are they going to WWE? Is All Elite Wrestling a thing? What's their plan? Their contracts are ending with ROH. They're pretty much freelancing with New Japan. What's next for them? So I think now, among all times, it's going to be really what defines them. They've created a legacy of their own, but where they go next is really going to decide whether this was a success or a failure. Yeah. And I'm interested to see
I hope All Elite's a thing. I'd love to see that.
Okay, Well, let's move on to the next on our list. Again, this will come off as biased to a lot of people, but Jay Lethal, we included him on the list of having a good 2018. I'll ask you guys, why do you think that is?
Well, you know,
let's face it, man.
He's Jay Lethal. What do you want?
Yeah.
How can we do this without sounding biased?
Yeah.
Honestly, just look at the statistics here. Ring of Honor, he has been their loyal man for so long. I remember watching him on Ring of Honor in 2009.
Yeah.
He is their guy. And he has, like Seth Rollins, like AJ Styles, proven to be a workhorse of the brand. He has been a great champion, taking over for the likes of Dalton Castle and Cody. He has had some amazing matches, including his last match with Cody. And he is just a reliable guy. And this is completely unbiased. I am just talking about this as a fan of Ring of Honor. I'm always happy to see him on a show. I'm always know that he's going to put on a good match or try his best. His work at All In, recreating the Black Machismo and rehabbing that, I think it was WrestleMania 3 match or something like that, recreating that with Flip Gordon. He can still entertain you reliably.
He's the man. I'll never forget. Like, so, as everyone here knows, and a lot of my friends know, my wife absolutely does not dig wrestling at all. So I'll never forget. I convinced her to go to a show. It was a local show, and Jay happened to be there. And I'll never forget. He was working. I think he was working a tag match or something. And my wife is sitting there and just rolling her eyes and crossing her T's and all that good stuff. And I don't know, it sounded good. So she's sitting there and I'm talking to somebody and then she just hits my shoulder. She's like, "Who's that guy?" And I was like, "Who are you talking about?" She's like, "The bald guy." And I was like, "Oh, that's Jay." And she's like, "I don't know who that is, but you could tell he's definitely got to be a professional." I was like, "That's the guy who was training us." She's like, "Oh, wow, he's really good." And I was like, "No shit, Sherlock. It's Jay Lethal. What the hell's wrong with you?" And then we fought outside, and then I left her there.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
All right, let's
talk about Jay.
I got mad.
Let's pull that back.
I got upset.
But no, to me, Jay epitomizes what ROH is. Or ROH used to be, where or still is now. It's just that workhorse mentality.
Yeah.
That just to be relevant year after year after year, like you said, like back to 2009 is when you're watching my ROH. He's the backbone of that company.
Really, and for me more so, I'd pick him on and put him on my list because all his match styles are so unique. All the endings to his matches, he creates such a unique element to his matches, and honestly, just like his art of storytelling is
one. He's a student of the game, obviously.
Yes.
I mean, we can tell you personally from his training and other people who have trained with him, he's always learning.
Yeah,
he never thinks he's got it all down. He never thinks that he can't get something from a match or that it's just going to be nothing. He still thinks he's improving, even though we know he's gone really far, and he wants to continue to improve and wants to continue to define and
definitely always see matches for me.
Like you said, it's unbiased, but it's still some bias. But our biases are correct because we see him teach us stuff. Is like, wow, this knowledge is deep. It's impressive. Like it's awestruck. Like he's the guy. Really, he's the man.
Peeled it back and expressed. It helped me explore some layers in wrestling that I couldn't even see, and it was just like definitely appreciated and on that list. And he's the world champion for a reason.
Yeah.
So next, we came up with just some random names from outside of those organizations. This could include Lucha Underground. This could include Impact. This could include just the Indies as a whole. Some names we came up with as having a good 2018. It was really hard to include this first guy on any specific list because he's been multiple places, but it's Chris Jericho, the Lucha Brothers, a.k.a. Pentagon and Phoenix, and Shane Strickland. So let's start out with Y2J. Why did he have a good 2018?
He's the GOAT.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Really, that attitude of why wait, let's do this now.
He adapts, man.
He does. He's really, God, come on. With debuting in New Japan, with the Cruise, and going back to WWE, like, he really, you know what, he said, with this industry, I'm just going to do what I want, and I'm going to make it something special.
When he was in WCW, and this is talking dead truth, this was when WCW had a lot of guys going for them. They had the cruiserweight division, which was pretty hot. When they did the countdown for Y2J and WWF at the time,
Some say it's the greatest debut.
I had no idea who it was. And when I saw him, I was like, I didn't know what to think of it. I was like, oh, okay. But I watched because it's Chris Jericho. And from that day on, man, he's just adapted to everything, man. He went to who the hell would have thought that from coming from WCW and then going to, not a lot of guys succeeded. Very few guys did. They stayed in WWE and they made their career out of it. Even now, he don't even have to sign anywhere because he can do what he wants when he wants because he's Chris Jericho.
Just that attitude, like, I'm just going to do what I want. And it's,
Well, this guy, I don't know why, he's a genius of character work. He truly is.
Yeah.
Every time he returns, now some could say, whenever he leaves, he's just going to return again. But every time he does, he freshens it up. He makes
and you watch
new.
it. And
he
you
makes
watch
it different, and he captures your attention.
So, Chris Jericho is obviously on the list because, everything he do, like you said, just refreshens everything up. And now this year with the debuting and New Japan and the cruise and stuff like that, everything he does his own way, and his way is obviously unique. It's a new element, and it brings to life anybody who he works with.
Yeah.
So honestly, Chris Jericho is...
He's a real wrestling rock star.
Yeah.
He's got a rock band.
Yeah.
He knows how to balance his time. He knows how to balance his commitments. And like you guys said, he does what he wants.
Yeah.
When he's with a company, he's extremely loyal. But when he gets to a point that he wants to do something different, he goes and does it. He's not afraid. Some could say he's like one of the ultimate anti-authoritarian people because he's just going to do what he's going to do. And he knows how to play that game so well that he doesn't burn bridges necessarily.
Yeah, exactly,
but he still does what he wants to do.
He's like the new age Carney, like going from town to town, being the main guy, and then like, okay, I'm done here. Let's try something new. There's
From
no
country
town.
to country.
But this is also a guy who, in the ring, knows his limitations.
Yeah.
Knows that he's not the spring chicken that he used to be.
Yeah.
But adapts his style to
insane,
compensate for
Yeah.
that. This is a guy who has managed to extend his career because he knew this is my limit. This is what I'm going to go to. Maybe I'll dip above it every now and then in a certain match. But for the most part, I'm going to stick within what I know. And I'm going to do it really, really well.
Yeah.
And not take risks I don't want to take. And I think this is a guy who could wrestle for another 5 years.
Yeah.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
Could be another 10 years
Yeah.
because he plays that game very, very smart.
Really
One thing he's not is a stupid idiot.
That is true.
Ooh, yeah.
So after Y2J, we've got the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon, and Phoenix. I included these guys together even though you could say separately their careers are incredible. I mean, Phoenix, AAA champion. Pentagon has been both the Impact and Lucha Underground champion. What do you guys think?
Honestly, like those two, like I feel like they're one and the same person. They're like yin and yang kind of. They're great opponents. They're great tag team partners. Everything they do, honestly, is just so fucking exciting. Like this, it's just.
I had no idea they were brothers until about 4 months ago.
Really?
And I watched Lucha Underground, and I watched them, and I was like, man, these guys are awesome, man. And then someone broke the news to me, and I was like,
just
no
fearless,
wonder.
risk takers.
Shit.
Like Takahashi, just that explosive, like that dangerous style. But you have to tune in to see it.
And they're different because Phoenix works the shit out of those ropes. I've never seen no one work ropes like that. He had to be like a gymnast or some shit because the way he works those ropes. And then what gets me more excited is that you got Pentagon, who's the complete opposite.
Yeah.
He's like he just stays to the ground. He'll sometimes jump out, do what he's got to do, and he's a heavier guy.
Yeah.
He's a pretty big guy to be a luchador, and even then, like just his look, his wrestling, everything about him. He don't even try to speak English, and it still works.
Just the personality. They're like new age Mexican funk brothers to me.
The gear is amazing too. Like the way they look is just it's awesome.
Shout out to their gear maker.
Well, and I think they cover the styles. I think Phoenix really embodies the luchador style, and I think Pentagon, while embodying some of the luchador style, really embodies the hardcore style.
Yes.
Puerto Rican style.
They've made a hardcore cool again through Lucha Underground, through their work on the indies. I mean, you want to watch these guys whenever they come out. You're going to watch it. If you see that they're on a card, you're going to watch it. I mean, there has never been a bigger temptation for me to watch Impact again than knowing that Pentagon was their champion.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, that was short-lived. I think that's because Impact is a garbage fire.
Mhm.
But
Garbage fire.
Holy
It's a little
shit.
extreme.
yeah,
We don't all
I'm
support
joking.
those
I'm
views.
joking. I'm joking.
Of the
They're great.
official
Look at me, please.
I'm joking.
Dirty
But
ref.
I
Dirty
think
ref.
I think that they're going to draw you to whatever card they're on.
Yes.
If you know they're going to be on a show, you're going to want to watch it. If
Oh,
you've
yeah.
known of their work or seen their work before.
Pentagon stuff on War Games for MLW was awesome.
Yeah.
That was a
Hell yeah.
violent, crazy show that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
So the other guys, they're
I think this year
Big.
for me more so. I'm leaning towards Phoenix. I know Pentagon had an amazing year as well, but me, I'm leaning more towards Phoenix. Phoenix,
wouldn't blame you.
just like fearless, just that fearless attitude, and just really going above and beyond to entertain
He's
fans in the ring.
He's a modern day, and I wouldn't say size wise, but he's like a modern day Rey Mysterio back in the days.
Yeah.
But I think he's a little bit.
Oh,
I
Easy.
think
Oh,
so, man.
debatable.
I love Rey Mysterio, but
you're gonna have so
Phoenix-
many people in your inbox.
Phoenix is. I mean, the thing is, you got to watch any of his matches. Choose any of them.
Hey, no, he's great.
He's
Any of
it's
amazing.
really just as far as inventing,
Yes.
very innovative.
Yeah.
Innovative
Both
to
the guys
style.
are innovative
in that
their own ways.
aspect. I wouldn't
Yeah.
compare the two because that's easy.
That's insanity.
Yeah, I should say you kind of. Now you get me mad. Now you get me mad now. All right?
Inbox you later.
All right, before it gets crazy in here, let's move on to Shane Strickland, a Kill Shot from
Swerve.
Lucha Underground. Swerve.
Man,
Yeah,
let's-
I know his kill shot. I watched him on Lucha Underground, and when he first came out, I remember he had the mask on, and I was like, "Who's this guy?" And like he's he's a thin guy, so I was like, "Who's this? This guy's probably just like a jobber or something like that." And as soon as I saw him hit one move, I was like, "Oh,
Very
Oh,
slick
shit.
and smooth as far
Yes.
as movement
Oh my
goes,
God,
and
yeah.
another guy who's just like transcendent,
Yeah.
innovative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're tuning into wherever card he's going to be on because you know it's going to be something special. It's going to
Yeah.
be something different where he works at. So
Well, and I think he's WWE bound. I think it's
oh,
just
hands
he's
down."
finishing up his
Yeah.
indie dates now,
Yeah,
and he's going
absolutely.
straight to the performance
MLW,
center.
Evolve, FIP, really raise prestige to wherever he's going
Yeah.
right now. And it's just
He's
that
the guy.
name alone really carries something.
He's the guy making a name for himself on the indies and not working to make your company.
Yeah.
Other than Lucha Underground, just like
Yeah.
just
But he wasn't working as Shane Strickland. He was
true.
working as
The
Kill Shot.
Yeah. So under his name, just
Yeah.
town to town to town, making good money, putting on great shows.
Innovative.
Wait, he broke you off? You know how much he makes?
Yeah, man, we're cool now.
Yeah.
So fantastic. We kind of talked about who was the best of 2018. Now let's talk about what to look forward to in 2019. These aren't going to be people that we just mentioned. We know that since they had a good 2018, hopes are pretty good that that's going to leak over into 2019. These are people who may not have had the best 2018, but could have a good 2019. These are people who, we're seeing them just start to make that upward movement now, and what we think they're, who's going to go ahead in 2019. So we have a lot of names on this list. We're going to just kind of rapid fire through them so we can wrap up this episode.
You put your hand if you agree. Put your hand up if you agree. That's it.
We could do that.
Yeah.
We get electrocuted if we agree.
Keith Lee.
Duh. Like it's
Well,
just
we're really putting our hands
Yes!
Yes.
Yeah.
We,
Now we are.
we made this list. We don't need to get it.
Fair enough.
We're not going to disagree with
Fair
each
enough.
other.
I personally could say Keith
Supposed to
Lee
that's
is just like Kevin Owens before him. He's showing the agile big dude.
I think he's gonna disappear.
you.
Really?
I almost
Sorry.
cursed.
I think he's gonna
You
disappear.
really want to
I think the same thing
purpose of this?
that happened with Lars Sullivan is gonna happen with him.
Lars Sullivan did he debut this year?
We're going to talk about that more on the next episode, which is what we're nervous about in 2019.
Look,
yeah.
look. Keith Lee is limitless.
Like the pill.
I
Like the
hate
thing
you.
is, y'all already put your hands up, and I didn't put my hand up, so I look like an asshole. So I gotta go back on it.
Okay, Sonata.
He
Hopefully-
is going to be a future champ for that company.
Yeah, he's still
He's
young.
just
He's
got to
got plenty of time.
evolve to the next level. Like the Cold Skull is it right now,
Yeah.
but there's still some things missing.
Keep
So
it going,
next
yeah.
year, I think he might find it.
Matt Riddle. King of Bros.
Still early for
We're
him. I think.
finally
He's-
gonna get him on that next level.
Yeah.
We followed him through the internet indie level, Now with being on NXT, we're gonna see
And
some.
people forget how Shayna Baszler's legit, how Brock's legit, how Ron is legit.
Not
He's
real
legit the same way.
He's the new.
I think NXT was the right place for him to go too.
Yeah.
I think obviously he could use some refining.
Yeah,
he could
he
find
can,
his way
yes.
on the bigger stage to have a bigger stage performance because it's not the UFC. It's not like the Indies. It is a completely different style
It's a show.
on the main brand, and I think that NXT is a great place to introduce him to WWE fans because not all of them are smart to what happens outside of WWE. A lot of
Exactly.
fans are locked in only to WWE.
Yeah.
But I think he's got a great personality, and he's going to bring
Great
a great
look,
following with him.
Yeah.
Velveteen Dream.
Who should have been on the NXT list, but
Should have been.
I showed up late, so I couldn't argue that.
Here's the thing with Velveteen Dream.
Hand up, way high.
Yeah.
He has had a great 2018, but he hasn't,
With no titles.
with no title,
Still a
he
great
hasn't
2018.
Box
achieved-
office.
He hasn't achieved
Amazing.
the success that he needs to achieve, that he deserves.
Because they
Box
say
office.
save the best for last.
And I think that's what's going to happen in 2019.
He's one of the most creative guys out there. He's amazing.
Well, even whoever it was that took charge and said, you're going to be this guy, if it was him, kudos. If it wasn't,
And
keep
consider
on,
this,
keep owning. That's
Yeah.
it,
this
man.
guy is all WWE. He was groomed
Yes.
and bred
Yes.
in the WWE.
Yeah, he was on
is
Tough.
not-
What was it?
Yeah, he was on
Enough.
Tough Enough.
Tough Enough.
Yeah.
Is what
And he didn't
Hatcher
win.
need.
And yeah.
And now he is one of the biggest stars.
Because
and draws.
when he was on the show, I remember originally he was just a pretty mediocre, like bland guy. So I think like just looking at him, you're like, oh, this guy, he doesn't really fit. He's an athlete, but then
Plus, I think he has some of the best character work in
Yeah.
NXT.
And he's
hands
really,
down.
he's really
Yes.
young, too, so he has a
Yes.
lot more.
Oh, he's
to grow.
got so much time.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
much
yeah.
time. So I think 2019 is going to be a big
Yes.
year for him.
Mhm.
yeah,
Next, Jonathan Gresham.
yes,
Amazing.
Yeah.
The octopus.
Oh my God,
That
He's been
dude
on the
is-
scene for a long time
Yes.
now. But I think this year is like really. I feel like he's been introduced to a broader
Yeah.
audience now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With a lot of the indies becoming so hot this year. I think he's one of those guys.
His match with Saber at Final Battle
God.
was amazing.
yeah, that's fantastic.
Next up, Io Shirai. Runner-up
Yes.
for Mae Young Classic.
Yes.
Another one. That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
My fear
No,
with Io Shirai
No.
is that it's going to be another Asuka. It's going to be another Kairi Sane.
Man.
It's just another.
No. It can't. Well, all right. Look, Asuka, she's still okay. She's still okay.
Women's champ.
The problem with her is, and they got to understand this. Don't force them to speak a language that they struggle with,
Yeah.
especially if you got that badass attitude. You know,
But that's
don't
the
do
thing
that.
is, we know that's what this company does.
So,
So what's going to change?
The-
Is it going to
The
change?
language
Are they going to
barrier
just do it again?
does affect a lot of wrestlers. The language barrier does, and there are a lot of great wrestlers where nothing's really wrong with their work rate and stuff like that. And their character work is just the language barrier really does affect.
At the end of the day, wrestling's what really matters because what you're watching the show for.
Oh, she's
I
Let,
think-
let them wrestle.
I think the other issue with Io Shirai is that until Kairi Sane leaves her spot,
man, I agree.
it's going to be a battle between the two of them to see who gets to be the top one.
I
And it's
want-
not going to be shown on television,
It
but
needs
I
to be.
think it's going to happen.
Because their series that started was amazing. They're going to have them fight again.
Because right now I think they're working with Dakota Kai and kind of like a little
Yeah.
faction
Yeah.
against the 3 horsewomen, 3 MMA
They
horsewomen.
need a clash. And
I could do without Kyrie, so I'm good.
You,
I like
I hate
her.
you.
Yeah, she's good, but like I don't get the pirate thing.
I'm actually with you.
Yeah, I don't get the
Oh,
pirate
I hate
thing.
both of you.
I don't get it. I'm just like, you know what? The Io Shirai is like a
She's
badass.
pirate. What is there not to get?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
What was it? What is that guy's name? Bertram? What was his
All
name?
right, we're going to talk
sorry.
about
We'll say that for another
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
Let's have a
I bet you hate
character
One Piece
episode.
too.
We'll have a character episode later.
Luffy.
Next,
Anyway.
Heavy Machinery.
My favorites.
Tucker
Yes.
Knight, Otis
My
Dozovich.
Yes.
I think this will be Otis Dozovich's year.
There you go.
Yes.
That's the breakout, in
Yes.
my
I
I
opinion.
do
Yeah.
not.
Otis.
I think he is going to end up dropping Tucker Knight eventually.
Yes.
I like Tucker
I
too.
agree.
Just to
I don't
put
want
out
him to
there.
go here.
I like Tucker.
Tucker's Cass. He's
Tucker's
big
a
Cass.
very solid worker, but
Yeah.
I just think that Otis brings
Otis
so much
character.
Is
character.
the personality, like from the way he walks and the way he
Every-
talks.
Otis
Everything about him.
Otis
man.
gives me hope to being a big guy that's kind of short.
But we've also seen how WWE treats tag teams.
Shit.
Yeah.
He's just.
So
but I
either
think
he's going to
that
have to
good.
break off and achieve success on his own, or I think personally they could struggle in the tag team division.
I'm
They
too
could either
nervous.
redefine the tag team
I
division,
hope they do.
or they could struggle.
I believe in them because they have character.
They do.
The heavy
Yeah.
machinery, it's highly you can market that. It's very entertaining.
It's always booking season.
Speaking of tag teams, this was one that I really pushed for. I believe this will be the Revival's year.
Ugh.
It's either going to be or they're going to leave and find it somewhere else.
Okay.
But one way or another, this is either going to be their hit year in WWE or the year they define themselves on.
I definitely agree with the latter of that. Them moving on somewhere else and being stars. WWE, I'm not sure.
The WWE
I hope so.
their tag team division was so weak that this team coming to and getting that roster call up, I'll never forget. Like I watched these guys in NXT and I was like, oh, these guys are just they should have went straight to WWE. And when they went up, in my mind, I was like, in a couple of months they'll be tag champions, and I get it. And
Honestly,
one, they've been injury plagued.
yeah, that's
hurt them
it was
a
bad
lot.
luck.
Yeah.
Injury, and then one guy comes back, the other guy gets injured. So it's just like they kind of got off on the wrong foot. So I think
They are so polished, though. Like,
But I believe
so
this
amazing.
will be a year that will define them, whether they become a WWE team or whether they don't. But wherever they go from here, I think they'll find success because I believe that with Seth Rollins' promo a couple weeks ago about how they have been underutilized and underused, being said on WWE TV means that they know, means that corporate knows, means that Vince knows, and has heard that that's the case. And so whether it's a bribe to get them to re-sign with the company that they're throwing in this push to re-sign with the company, or whether it is the definition of them going to go on and make the Raw Tag Team division worth watching again, I think that's going to be determined this year. So I do believe big things are in store for them. Like I said, whether it's with the company or without, this is going to be their year.
Speaking of without the company, though, wishful booking. What if they leave and they go to wrestle the Young Bucks?
There are
created that
rumors
story?
that two WWE stars are talking about going to All Elite, and if it's them, that would not surprise me. Next, Bianca Belair, NXT star.
The hair.
Both Isaiah and I are not the faithful of Bianca Belair. I think she's an amazing athlete.
she's super young. She's got plenty of time.
She's got time, and she's now married to Montez Ford, Mr. Character from the Street Profits.
Hey.
So this could be good for her, but I
Congratulations.
hate a gimmick being defined by a fake
Look,
Is it fake?
accessory.
Look.
It's fake.
she whips her hair back and forth. It's amazing.
I think she's bred for it. She's bred for
Thank
main
you.
event.
Thank you.
She's main event to me.
Okay, whether it's 2019, I don't think so.
She has all the tools. She's
What tools? Her hair?
She's super strong.
you're-
No,
she's
her
very
athleticism. Her athleticism
She is.
is amazing.
I give her
she's
that.
a tremendous athlete, a physical athlete. The hair is a great accessory
Thank you.
and adds to the personality.
Yeah.
She has a look.
You said it before, earlier in this show. What was it that you need that separates you from everybody else?
Well, character.
And that's what I feel we both feel is lacking.
It's still
This is not a
This will
character.
be an interesting debate and something.
You can
but this
see
is
it.
all.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is
to
the-
me. It's a
This
tool.
is a who to watch because
Yes.
we're on one
Yeah.
side, you guys are on the
Yes.
other.
Yes.
And when we are
We'll
doing
come back
this
to it.
next year, around this time, we will have this debate.
Loser buys drinks. That's it.
But I don't drink anyway. So.
I also rallied for this one on the list. This is going to be a make or break year for Finn Balor.
yeah.
He has had and we will talk about this on the next episode, but I think he has had a terrible 2018.
Yeah,
I think it's
Unfortunately,
do
yeah.
or die now.
He's been coasting, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
It's do or die for
I
2019,
think
so
they
I
want
believe
to.
he is on the who to watch because we're going to see him do or we're going to see him die.
You're right.
Next, Jeff Cobb.
Ooh.
Jeff Cobb is
Mr.
cool.
He's
The
cool, you
athlete.
said?
He's so cool.
The athlete.
Oh, okay. I think he's like, he's cool.
Yeah.
No, he's
Nah,
that man
he's
is
a-
savage.
He is unreal.
He is
freakish
He's a
athlete.
suplex machine.
Yes.
He is a
I wouldn't
beast.
even.
Yes.
It's beyond. That's somebody else. Like Jeff Cobb
Thank you.
is the monster Matanza. Like he's such a
television champion
Yes.
on Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
I think he is one of the most sought after prospects, and I think that his Lucha Underground contract is the thing that is hurting him the most.
Now
He
that's
signed on to an 8-year Lucha Underground.
No. They
Shit.
let me get released.
Did they let him release
Yes.
finally? I think that hurt a lot
Yeah.
because
But
I think he
he-
also
It didn't take too long to get his stacks back up because he's already telling
He's
you
also
shit.
an older guy too. For him to start so late in the game and wrestling
Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
be
He's
where
an
he's at.
Olympian.
Yeah. He was legit.
Well, yeah, obviously a guy to watch. I think this is a guy that's going to help the Ring of Honor roster.
Yes.
We talk about this a little bit more in the next episode about our worries for 2018, I think, or 2019, he is going to be a big part that'll put some of those worries to rest.
Definitely.
Also on our list, Lacey Lane.
Yeah. Someone who's a great look, someone who is doing a lot of good things in Indies, wrestling a lot of guys on Indies in this area, because it's the area we live in Florida.
Great look. What do you mean?
She's a beautiful lady.
Oh.
But anyway,
Get that out there.
she's tough as hell. Like, just to watch her on the Indies wrestle some of these guys, and for finding her to have a platform to wrestle other great women, it's amazing. She's gonna be up there.
Yeah.
Next, Rhea Ripley. She had a great 2018 already. She is the NXT UK Women's Champion. I think she found her role as a heel.
Very
I
instrumental.
really think she
And
has.
she's really going to bring that program to life right there.
Yeah.
I think she's going to be a huge factor.
I was a huge fan of her when she was doing the Florida House circuit, but she was doing it as a face and really not. She had fan following, but I could see it not working.
I guess I get nervous talking about her.
And seeing her as a heel, I think she's found her place. I think she's found her calling. I think you're right. She is going to excel
Yep.
the UK division. I think good feuds with people like Toni Storm will really help her.
Well, from last year's tournament to huge difference.
Huge
to this.
difference.
Huge difference.
Huge
Night and day, man.
And she kept a spot in WWE the whole time. So it shows that she must have been doing something right.
Yeah.
Also on the list, we've got Switchblade Jay White.
I love that gimmick.
Scary good.
Yes.
The fact that he's so young and it's just like he's like Randy Orton good to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about this in the next video, but Jay White's debut as Switchblade was one of the most heartbreaking things of this year for me.
Really?
And he turned it around.
I enjoyed it, actually.
When he walked out, Jay White is a clean-cut, baby-faced dude, and they had built up Switchblade to be this scary, sadistic dude. And honestly, even in his first debut, I was like, okay.
That's it?
Honestly, as an anime fan, as a Final Fantasy fan, he reminds me of a Final Fantasy anime villain.
That's the point, is he bought in and made us all buy in.
Yeah.
Because I did not believe it. I did not believe it when I first saw him. I was like, it could have been Sami Callihan. It could have been so many people.
I hear that.
That their name alone brings that Switchblade character because they built up that. But he earned it. He earned it, and he's made me a believer. So
that theme song was too.
I thought he was going to win the G1 this year.
Yeah, me too. Actually,
I thought he was going
to. He is to watch in 2019. Yes. Juice Robinson.
The Juice.
Ooh,
the Juice is loose.
Former CJ Parker.
Man.
Can we take a moment to say, like, that's the greatest success story.
Yes.
I've never in my... When he was in NXT, I kid you not...
Cody too. Similar paths.
But but Cody has Rhodes as his last name.
Oh, yeah.
So that benefit, even if it was just...
bloodline.
you know, Juice was a nobody, man.
Yeah.
And when you saw him, you just like... It looked like an average guy. There was nothing about him. And god damn it, he did well.
When he left, I thought he was going nowhere.
Me too.
I thought like, you would hear him on Indies and like, oh, he'd be doing pretty well here and there.
He's one of the few stories that I honestly go back and say NXT dropped the ball.
Yes.
And there are so few people I say that about.
Yeah.
But he is one of the only ones that I'm like, NXT actually dropped the ball.
Yes.
I wouldn't even put it on them. Like some people, you
gotta push.
You can't really rely on them. Like
I thought he was great from day one in NXT, and then they changed him to the character that somehow Daniel Bryan is making work. It didn't work for him.
It's a Shark Tank. Like you honestly can't really put it all on them. Some people get outworked, like the Kenny Omega thing. Like, all right, Kenny Omega left and became something. A lot of people, if you're not a star here, you can become a star somewhere else. And he's one of those guys who just he was decent there, but evolved into something totally different.
He's found his home in Japan. Let's just put it.
Yeah.
He found his lane.
Now he's a name. Like once that's over, that deal is done.
I would be delighted to see him come back to WWE, just like an EC3, who some may notice isn't on this list, but we will talk about on the next list. And then our final entrant for who to watch in 2019, Mustafa Ali.
Yeah,
Mustafa.
That's another workhorse.
The first 205 Live cruiserweight to go to the main roster, to actually get called up from 205 Live to the main roster.
Oh, yeah.
He did pin Daniel Bryan, No, and I'll never forget when he was he had the promo that he did with he was working someone that was at a pay-per-view, and I'll never forget, it was part of the 205 Live show, and he did a promo that was just it just separated himself from anyone in the WWE that I've ever seen. It was like outside. He was just sitting.
Cedric Alexander.
He was sitting outside like in a porch or something like that. And the way he was just talking.
He has some of the best backstage
my God,
promos
man.
or pre-filmed promos of anyone.
Yes,
of anyone.
He gets it.
He's working it.
I think he reached some great success when he got to be on WrestleMania against Cedric Alexander, but I think it's just the beginning. I honestly see this guy being the next U.S. champion.
Yeah.
He's getting better, man.
He's proven that 205 Live isn't a dumping ground.
Yeah.
It's a developing ground, just like NXT.
And another guy who has great gear, great look, that mask he wears sometimes with the lights.
Working for that spot.
Yeah.
There's so many guys coasting. He's one who's you notice it.
He's an inspiration to the rest of 205 Live because I know those guys are close like a family. There's a photo out there of all of them huddled around the monitor when he made his first SmackDown appearance, watching him.
Those guys put in work down there, and he's proof of it.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for Enzo winning the belt, man. He really.
He did keep 205 Live alive.
Come on,
let's face it. Neville, Austin Aries, and Enzo really.
It got so quiet.
It kept the cruiserweight.
I was like, what are you talking about? Like,
I wish they were still around to be getting the success.
But it started.
That's a whole episode too.
It started with Neville.
So this has been our retrospective on 2018 and what to look forward to in 2019. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on Twitter. Check us out on YouTube. Keep along. These are a lot of fun for us to do. We hope they're as much fun for you to watch. And we'll see you next week.